Hello! We're going to be talking today about fractions on a number line. So open up your math notebooks and copy down the title and your I can statement. I can locate fractions on a number line. Go ahead and pause the video while you work that out. Fractions. Let's review a little bit about what we know about fractions. Remember that fractions are always a part or a piece of a whole. The top number is called the, do you remember? Numerator, and the bottom number is called the denominator. Those are terms that you need to know, commit to your brain, because we're going to be using them. Your first problem check has to do with fractions in general. So I have this sample problem and answer, and I want you to tell me why it's incorrect. How much of the large square is shaded? The answer was 1/2. Why is that incorrect? Write it in your notebooks now and pause the video. Okay, it is incorrect because the square is not divided into two equal parts. Anytime we're dealing with fractions, our denominator has to be equal parts. This part of the square is much larger than this smaller piece here. Fractions are always equal. These are unequal, so that makes this answer incorrect. If I drew a line up here and erased this one and shaded all this in purple, then that would show that half was shaded in because these parts would be equal in size. We're going to talk about number lines and putting fractions on number lines. So I need you to sketch this circle out, draw the line down the middle and shade in part of it, and draw out this sample number line here. We're going to work this with our first problem. Okay, number lines have a 0 at the beginning and it goes to 1. Remember I said fractions are parts of whole, so they're in between 0 and 1 whole. Number lines can show parts of a whole just like a picture can. So this is showing half of a circle is shaded in, and a number line can show where half would be. First, you need to ask yourself how many pieces is the circle divided into. Let's count. 1, 2. So this circle is shaded into, divided into 2 equal parts, and how many of the parts are shaded? 1 out of 1, 2. So our fraction is 1/2, 1/2. Where would this be on my number line? Well, I know that by looking at my denominator, my bottom number, that I need to have 2 equal parts. That's what this means. So I need to split my number line into 2 equal parts. The easiest way to do that is to draw a line right down the middle, as close to the middle as you can get to make them equal. And I start with 0, and I like to call them hops to get from 0 to 1. So I should have 2 hops, starting at 0 and moving from there. 1, 2 hops. That works. And this is my first hop, so 1/2 would be located right in the middle of my number line. If I continued on to the next one, if I start here, 1, 2 hops, 2 out of 2 total, that would mean that I have 2 parts shaded in, and that would be the same as 1 whole. Anytime that you have a numerator that is the same as the denominator, that means you have 1 whole. Let's try another one. So I have this shape. Go ahead and draw that in your notebooks. You can use the same number line that you worked with the last problem. I have my 0, my 1/2, and my 1. And I need to ask myself, how many pieces is the circle divided into? We have 1, 2, 3, 4 equal parts. So my denominator is going to be 4. That means that on my number line, I need to have 4 equal parts. The easiest way to get to 4 is to just keep dividing each section until you have the number that you need. So if I start here and I end up at 1, I should have 4 hops to get me there total. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4 hops. That means that I've split my number line into as many pieces as I need. So this first one is my first hop, 1, 1 out of the 4 total. The next one would be 2, 2 out of the 4 total. If you look, 2/4 and 1/2 are both on the same spot. That means that 1/2 is the same fraction as 2/4. They're worth the same amount. We'll get into more of that later on. My third hop is 3 out of 4, 3/4. And then my last, to get to 1, 4 out of 4. Look, what I said is still true. Same numerator, same denominator, that equals 1 whole. So where would the shaded part of this circle or this representation be on the number line? If you said right here the 3/4, you would be correct, because 1, 2, 3 out of 4 are shaded in, so that belongs right here. Let's do one more with 10. I know there's 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, because I counted. It is divided into 10 equal parts, so my denominator is going to be 10. I'm going to use the same number line that we started out with. You probably want to sketch a new one because it's going to get too complicated if you use the same number line that you used for the last problem. So go ahead and redraw this. It should take you just a second. Make your 0, your 1/2, and your 1 marks, because 1/2 is an easy way to go. I like to start with benchmark fractions like 1/2. I know that my denominator is going to be 10 with this shape, so an easy way that I can know what needs to belong right here is ask myself, well, what is half of 10? Or the same thing would be saying, what is 10 divided by 2? And I know that 10 divided by 2 equals 5, so 5 is half of 10. My fraction that represents 1/2 is 5/10. I know that my number line is going to have to be divided into 10 parts between the 0 and the 1, so putting a benchmark fraction like this in will help make it so I'm not so overwhelmed with adding my lines in. What this means is between 0 and here, I need to end up with 5 hops. So if I start here, I have to have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then I should end on 10 tenths, because 10 tenths, same numerator and denominator, is the same as 1 whole. Now I just need to start adding in my lines. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So where on the number line would this fraction be, the shaded in part? It should be 1, 2, 3. 3 out of 10 are shaded in, so I look on my number line, my third hop, 1, 2, 3. It should be right here is where I would put this fraction on a number line. Alright, I want you to try this problem now in your notebooks. Go ahead and sketch out a fresh new number line from 0 to 1. Put your benchmark fraction in. The first thing you need to ask yourself is how many pieces is this shape divided into? And you should say, figure out what that number is. Make your fraction here for the shaded in parts. Put your numerator and your denominator here. And then once you have that, figure out where would this fraction be on the number line. So you are going to need to draw your split marks in and make your hops for where that fraction would be located. Pause the video, I'll give you some time to work it out, and then I'll give you the answers. I'm going to give you the answers, so if you haven't paused the video or finished it yet, then pause it now. Okay, so I know that this circle is broken into 6 pieces, so 6 is my denominator, and 1, 2, 3, 4 out of the 6 are shaded in, so your fraction should be 4/6. Then I need to look here and put in my benchmark fraction. What would half of 6 be? 3. 6 divided by 2 is 3, so my 3/6 mark is right here in the middle, 3/6. I have 4/6, so I know I need to have 3, 4, 5, 6. 6, 6, so 4/6 should be right about here. If you got that correct, then congratulations. Fractions on a number line is starting to be easy for you. We'll do some in-class work tomorrow to practice the skill even a little bit more. If you did not get that correct, or if you don't understand, then go back and watch the parts that are giving you trouble. Have a good night.